All right, so today we are in part 2 of our lesson on proportions. So we're just continuing your notes, like right where you left off with your classwork. Don't need a new sheet of paper. All right, so here I have some information. I've got a table here. It says yesterday you bought 8 bagels for $4. Today you only want 5 bagels. Well, how much will 5 bagels cost? All right, so we're going to set up a proportion, and here is the bottom line, our rule. You have to compare the same thing on both sides of the proportion. There are several ways that you could set this up, but the easiest way is to just set it up as you read it. Okay, yesterday you bought 8 bagels for $4. So we're going to say 8 over 4. Bagels over dollars equals, how many bagels did I buy today? How many bagels? 5. But I don't know what the cost was. So you see, guys, I have bagels over dollars equals bagels over dollars. As long as I'm comparing the same thing on both sides of my proportion, then I'm going to be able to solve and get the correct answer. Now, I can solve any way that I want. All right, equivalent ratios is not going to be practical. Algebra is not going to be practical. I would advise you to use cross products because we know that cross products works every time. So 8x equals 20. Divide both sides by 8. And x equals what? In dollar form. $2.50. $2.50. Don't forget what you're solving for. It says how much will it cost, so you have to write your answer in dollar form. All right, x equals $2.50. Okay, so now let's look at this chart. All right, so we're going to set up this proportion. If a person weighs 105 pounds on Earth, they weigh 17.5 pounds on the moon. So if a dog weighs 60 pounds on Earth, how much would they weigh on the moon? I want you to try to set up a proportion. There's several ways you could set it up, but again, make sure you're comparing the same thing on both sides of the proportion. Okay, so just walking around, I saw a lot of people set it up differently, but I saw a lot of correct answers because, again, there's more than one way that I can set this up. All right, so someone raise your hand and tell me the way that you set up the proportion. Javion?
The person's weight over Earth, over the dog's weight on Earth, and then I put equals the person's weight on the moon, and then W.
Very good. He did person on Earth over dog on Earth equals person on moon over dog on moon. That's perfectly fine. What's another way you set it up? What's another way, Kaya? Very good. Person on Earth over person on the moon equals dog on Earth over dog on the moon. That's probably the way that I would have set it up. There's one other way you could have set it up. Anybody do that way? Which it's just probably not. Okay, it's probably one of those two ways. All right, but either way, once you do your cross products, you get 105W equals what? No, equals. Okay, 1,050. Divide both sides by 105. And W equals 10 pounds. Okay? All right, so who got it right? 10 pounds. All right, good job, guys. Okay, so setting up and solving a proportion. All right, so there's a couple more things. Okay, let's try to set up this proportion. The average person blinks about 420 times in 14 minutes. About how many times does a person blink in 6 minutes? Try to set up a proportion and solve. Oh. All right, so someone raise your hand. What is one way that you set it up? How did you set it up? How'd you set it up, Alana?
Over minutes. Well, how many times you blink over minutes?
Okay, blinks over minutes equals blinks over minutes. Is that how you did it? That's how I would have done it. Okay. Now, you could have done it minutes over blinks. Okay, so 14 over 420. You could have done minutes over minutes. There's a couple different ways, but even if you didn't set it up this way, it doesn't mean that you're not going to get the right answer. Let's go ahead and solve this. 14b equals, what's 420 times 6? Okay, and then what do you divide both sides by? 14. And blinks equals what? 180 blinks. Make sure you label. Who got it right? 180. All right, good. Okay, one more example. Are these numbers a proportion? I want you to go ahead and set up these fractions, okay, and we're going to determine whether or not they form a proportion. All right, so here's how you do it. It's very simple. You multiply your cross products. If your answers, or the number that you get when you multiply, are the same, then it does form a proportion. So what's 24 times 13? 300 and what is it? 312. And then what's 104 times 3? 312. Since it is the same number, I would say yes, they form a proportion. Okay? Now I want you to do one more and we're done. All right, what about the ratios 3.4 over 4.3 and 5.6 over 6.5? Do these ratios form a proportion? Alrighty, so what is 3.4 times 6.5? All right, and what is 4.3 times 5.6? 24 and 800ths. Okay, so yes or no? No. So you do an equal sign with a line through it, and you say no. Okay? The equal sign with the line through it basically means it's non-equivalent, and that's how you would answer it. All right, if you understand that, that's everything you need to know for your proportions lesson.